Okay, so do you want to make text-based rock, paper, scissors against the computer in Python? Well, you clicked on the video, so I guess you do. Anyway, by the end of this video, you should end up with a rock, paper, scissors program that works like this. So it'll say, hello and welcome to rock, paper, scissors against the computer. Player 1, enter your pick. So it gives me a clue in the prompt that I should say one of R, P, or S. But as I said in my last video, I can't read, so I'm a type banana. And wow, what a beautiful program. Instead of giving me an error, it tells me so politely that my remark was inapplicable and gives me another chance to type. Alright, fine. Since it asked so politely, I'll type R for rock. Okay, now it tells me that the computer chose paper and won. Do I want to play again? No, I don't want to play again. Okay, so this problem, which may seem really complicated right now, really isn't. If we take the problem and, okay, can we stop calling it a problem? It makes it sound like it's an issue. Like it's coding, it's fun. Okay, maybe it isn't always fun. But anyways, if you take a programming challenge and break it down into several smaller programming challenges, it'll be much easier to make the program. So we can make several small functions that together will make the game. So in rock, paper, scissors, what game mechanics do we need? Well, we need a function to introduce the game and explain the rules. And then in the actual game, we would need a function to take input from the player as to what they want to choose between rock, paper, or scissors. And we'll also need a function for the computer to choose its pick. And then we'll also need a function to compare both the players and the computer's choices and determine a winner. And maybe also a function to handle asking the user if they want to play again. So that's the programming challenge broken down into smaller pieces. So now we can code it. So let's start with the easiest function to make, the intro function. Now this is literally just a few print statements. I did say I was going to explain the rules of rock, paper, scissors, but come on, there's literally one rule, so the function is sorted. Now let's go on to the player choice function, and what this will do is input the player's choice and store it in a variable. And make sure to convert the string into lowercase. It just makes it easier to handle this input. Now that's it, right? We've taken input, all is good. Anyway, a cool feature to add would be to check if a player's input is one of R, P, or S. And if it is, then we can return the variable that stored the player's choice and be done with it. But if it's not one of R, P, or S, then we can tell them that their input was wrong and we can return the player choice function. This will call the player choice function again, in which the user will be asked for their choice again. And then if their input is valid this time, their valid input will be returned. But if not, then the function will be called again and the cycle would repeat. You may know this as recursion, and in this case we are asking the player for their choice and we will keep asking them again and again until they finally give us a valid answer. Pretty cool. Now we can go on to creating our function to determine the computer's choice. And let me ask you a question. Is your choice in rock, paper, scissors random? Well, no, but computers don't have human feelings, so their choice will have to be random. And for that we will need the random module imported at the start of our program. And we will be using the random.choice function to pick a random item from the list RPS. And we'll store this choice in a variable cChoice. Now we need to tell the player what the computer chose. So we'll print out the computer chose and then its choice. But hold on, this will just print the computer chose R or the computer chose P or S. We want it to be fancy, so we'll want it to print the computer chose rock or the computer chose paper. So we'll need a way to convert R to rock, P to paper, and S to scissors. We could use a bunch of if statements, but that's uncool. Instead, we can use a dictionary. And in dictionaries, there's a key and a value. So if our key is R and our value to the key R is rock, and we call the dictionary, I don't know, letter to play, we can say, hey, letter to play, what is the value of R? And then the dictionary letter to play is like rock. Okay, so we'll just add the rest of the key value pairs, and then we can use the dictionary in our print statement. Amazing. Okay, now we have a choice for both the player and the computer. We just need to now compare them to determine a winner. So for the determine winner function, we will need to take two arguments, the player's choice and the computer's choice. I'll just call them P and C. To compare them, we will use if, elif, and else statements. So now first let's see what has to happen in the case that the player has won. Well, this will happen if the player picks rock and the computer picks scissors, or if the player picks paper and the computer picks rock, or if the player picks scissors and the computer picks paper. If that's the case, then we'll say player 1 won. If that doesn't happen, then if the player and the computer pick are the same, then it's a draw. If all that is passed, then the only remaining possibility is that the computer won, and we'll say that in that case. Cool, our function works. Now that we have the smaller pieces, we'll build a program. Let's make a main function in which we will assemble our program. First, we will introduce our game, and then we'll call the player choice function and store the returned value in a variable. We'll do the same for the computer's choice. Now we'll call the determine winner function and give it the player and computer choices as arguments. So let's run our function and you can see it works. Now as we're fancy, let's add a function that will allow us to play again if we'd like. So we'll define a play again function and we'll ask the user if they want to play again, expecting a Y or a N. If the player is not compliant with our demands, then we will use the same trick we use to make sure that we get valid input in the player choice function. If the input is valid, then we'll return that. If not, then we'll tell them that they're stupid and recursively call the function again. Okay, now that that function is done, we'll go back to our main function. Now we'll check that if the return value of the play again function is Y for yes, they want to play again, we'll return the main function so that it will be called again so they can play again. And we don't need to add another case for when they say no, they don't want to play again, because the program will end anyway. So that's text-based rock, paper, scissors in Python, and you can see how it functions. I chose rock, I meant R, and the computer chose scissors, so I win. Sure, I'll play again. Okay, now I'll pick scissors and the computer chose the same, so it's a draw. Alright, thanks for watching. Like the video if you did, comment any future video suggestions or any questions you might have. Remember, the code is in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.